Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Today's topic is on Kerala schools on radar. Why? The news media reported that 19 members from Kerala, they happened to go to Syria, and out of them, 5 members were from an Islamic school who happened to work in an Islamic school few years ago. And these are the people who have been identified who have left to Syria from India. So when this was reported in the media, there was so much of a hue and cry against this particular school. Its name was brought out in the open, and people started questioning whether the school is radicalizing them, and all of these things were debated. And now in the media, people are cornering that school and trying to question a lot of things. They want to say that these 5 members who went to Syria, they happen to be radicalized by this school and the curriculum and the authorities. Let me tell you one thing. These members who have been working there, they were ex-employees. They were working there, and after some time, they left their work from that place, and they just moved away from that school. And why would anybody leave that school? A person who doesn't comply with the school's principles and with the school's ethos is a person who would not fit to work in that school. And that's the reason these people went away from the school, because their ideology was not matching to what the school was promoting. The school was promoting the positivity, the school was promoting dialogues, the school was promoting pluralistic society, and all these things were not really appealing to the people who were working there as ex-employees. So what I have to say is that to say that they were working in the school and thereby they must have got radicalized and therefore they went to Syria, it's a very far-fetched idea. If you want to use this yardstick, then I would want you to question further. A person, Vijay Mallya, very well known in the Indian media and very well known in the political world, he was asked to stay in India by 17 banks who appealed to the Supreme Court, saying that do not give him the visa, don't give him the permit to go outside of India. And because he had taken so much of loans, and finally he escaped to go to the Western countries, he's no more in India. I want to ask a question. If you say Vijay Mallya's history has to be checked as to why he did such an offense, you must blame the Janata Party. You must blame Subramanian Swamy, who happened to be part of the Janata Party. You must blame Congress Party because he was also part of the Congress Party. You must blame the BJP Party because he was also part of the BJP Party. Would you do that? Would you do that just because a person has committed an offense? You go back to his history and find where all he was affiliated, where all he was associated, what all he was doing, with whom all he was having friendship. Would you bring everybody into questioning and then say, yes, he was the one responsible? You don't do that, right? And at the same time, you are questioning the school for having those 5 members out of the 19 members who have migrated to Syria. Why aren't you questioning the rest of the other members, the 14 members yet? What was their history? Where did they come from? What was the reason for going? Why didn't you question that? So you are selectively choosing. If I have to ask you the same question further, Colonel Purohit, he was one of the masterminds of creating terror while he was part of the military army. Now I want to say, would you blame the military for that? Just because Colonel Purohit was involved in terror activities, would you blame the entire military fraternity? Are they the people who are masterminding this whole thing? Now, if you have to ask further questions, similar lines, Jayalalitha, for whatever reasons, her name was taken in the media for usurping a lot of wealth of the public money. Whether it's true or false, we're not getting into that. But her name has been brought in the limelight to say that she was involved in some sort of embellishing and these kind of activities. Now, I want to figure out, if you say she was influenced by her school days, from her upbringing, would you go and question the Bishop Cotton schools where she studied? The same thing you apply, where she came from. Would you question everything? The same thing with Yediyurappa. If Yediyurappa has committed a crime, in some land case, some scam, would you blame the entire BJP for that? Would BJP be put into the dock to say, like, give an answer? Why did you indoctrinate, Yediyurappa to do such a thing? Would you ask this kind of questions? Now, this is where I'm asking. You don't ask this kind of questions, right? You don't ask. But why selectively you're cornering this school for no reason? You see, Dawood Ibrahim was a person who was from Mumbai, from India. And today you call him as an underworld don. Just because he's an underworld don, now he's somewhere in the Middle East where people are trying to identify. Would you blame India for nurturing a man like Dawood Ibrahim and sending him to overseas? Would you blame India for that? You won't do that, right? You have to get into the individual and see why he became that. You don't, just because he's from a certain community, or he's from a certain land, or he's a pastor from this school or this college, you don't blame the entire school and college and his upbringing, right? So if you have to blame, you have to blame their parents first. The parents of those 19 people who have been sent to Syria for whatever reasons. What were the parents doing? Why don't you blame their upbringing? You are talking about those 19 people who have gone to Syria. You see the Indian Muslims. We are about 20 crore Muslims. We've been brought up in our homes, from our families. Our upbringing is such that we are living in our country. We have no interest to go to Syria, and we have no interest to be part of that deviant group, and we condemn that group of ISIS, and we say they have nothing to do with Islam. We say that. Our scholars have said that. The people from our community have been very vocal in saying that. And why don't you see how is our upbringing? Our 20 crore Muslims, we are here, we love this country. This is our country. This is a country we ruled for 800 years. Right from the time, from a very long time, from Kerala, you have the Kodungallu 628C, the first masjid which was constructed was in. So, my point here is very clear. When the police came to know that 19 members have gone to Syria, I would want to ask the same question. These 19 members were in Kerala for so many years, and you were knowing that they were living as citizens. What were you doing for so many years? Why didn't you trap them then? And after everything has happened, you are blaming the whole thing. You're putting the onus on the schools and the authorities, saying that they are responsible. You are responsible for letting a crime happen. Why don't you stop this radicalization in your land? I'm telling you, the people from outside of India, they are the people who are, through the internet, are trying to radicalize our youths. And we are worried about that. Why don't you ban that? Why don't you go and trap them? Instead, going and causing harm to those people who are talking against those groups. See, the group like KNM or Imam Akbar's Niche of Truth, or these schools, the peace schools and all of them, they are people who are engaging in the field of dawah since so many years. They believe in dialogues. They believe in having understanding with each other in a harmonious manner, in transmitting the understanding of a religion with other people, because it's our duty. It is our duty to share the knowledge of our religion with everybody. So thereby we indulge in dawah. Dawah is to communicate to people about goodness about Islam. And that we do. But that doesn't mean that we force anybody to become Muslims. No, that is not the case. So I, being a Muslim, and I standing up for justice, I am being vocal because I want to speak against injustice. That's the only agenda, nothing else. Now, how I want to see the whole thing is, the Kerala KNM, they have millions of followers. The Niche of Truth has got millions of followers. And till date, if you happen to see, the people who are opposing them are the right-wing RSS and right-wing people, nationalist movements which are very extreme. They are the people who have, were they harsh on them? Were they using weapons on them? Were they taking law in their hands? No. They were always engaging in dialogues. These millions of people, even now, they believe in peaceful coexistence. They believe in pluralistic society. So, when that kind of situation does not exist in Kerala itself, when extremism does not exist from the organizations of KNM and Niche of Truth in Kerala itself, why would they promote it? When their leaders are against those ISIS and those deviant groups, why would they want to send their people abroad overseas? It is impossible. Please leave this. Now, I want to ask another question on a different angle. Say by chance if 19 members have gone to Syria, they're going to Syria. My question, my genuine question, I want to understand, is there a law which says that going to Syria is a crime? Is there a law which says that going to Syria in itself is a crime? If a person is going to Syria, he may go for various reasons. He may go for traveling, he may go for business, he may go for identifying some historical lands. He may go for various reasons. He may go as a journalist. There are many reasons that a person can go for to a place. If he has gone to Syria, I want to understand, is there any law in India that says if anybody goes to Syria in itself is a crime? I want to understand that. So, if these 19 members have gone to Syria, we need to identify why they have gone to Syria at the first place. I mean, there's so much of place across the world. Why they have gone to Syria? Have they gone to Syria? Is it proven? And all these things without it, just cornering a school for no reason. I think there's an agenda. There's a very clear agenda. Let me give another theory. What if a person, he says he wants to become a Muslim, but in his heart he's not a Muslim and he's a hypocrite? Okay, he wanted to spoil the name of the school, and thereby he became a Muslim just to show, and then he went to Syria just to corrupt the name of the Muslims. What do you have to say about that? Isn't this a theory? Can't this happen? Yes. When you think on those angles, why don't you think on these angles also? Okay. Now coming to a point. Now recently, the curriculum was under target. There were certain options which said that in the second standard book, which said that if you come across your friend who were to embrace Islam, what would you suggest? Would you ask him to have halal chicken? Would you ask him to read the Shahada? Would you ask him to run away from the home? And these are the options which are given, and the student is supposed to understand the right option there. Those are objective questions. So there, the right answer is, one has to teach him the Shahada. Shahada meaning, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. I bear witness that there is no God worthy of being worshipped but Allah, and I bear witness Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the messenger of Allah. So that is the answer which is required. But what has happened in the print, there was a mistake which said that put them in order. That is a mistake in the print, and that needs correction. I would say the authorities also agree, and the people who are published this book also agree that is an error, and that error can be rectified. If you send a notice, it can be rectified. But to say just because these options were given, you are identifying this to be radicalization of the youths, I say it is too very far-fetched idea. This is not the purpose. Look at the entire book. See how it is moving from first chapter to the last chapter. See the consistency that it has. And just because you come across any one line, just because you come across a single line which is out of the taste of that book, you cannot say, nitpick that and say like the entire curriculum is trying to it's trying to radicalize. It's not appreciated. Please don't pass on this kind of information to the world. I'm telling the media and also the Kerala police, which is striving to, by hook or crook, make a case and malign the Muslim community. I would say, look, I'm coming from a school where I was taught the shlokas, I was taught the Puranas, I know Ramayana, I know Mahabharata, I was a Sanskrit student. I don't say like I've done a mistake by learning Sanskrit. I don't say that I have done a mistake by learning Ramayana and Mahabharata. No, I have learned. It is my wish to whether to believe it or not to believe it. And I like reading these kind of books and learning a lot of things. What's your problem? Even today I can read a lot of things, but I don't believe in most of the shlokas. That's my wish, my freedom of religion. It says, Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Swami Jai Jagadish Hare. I know all that. हमको मन की शक्ति दे दे मन विजय करे. All these things we learned in the school. You see, I still remember all of these things. Now what I'm trying to say, if in a school, if I being a Muslim, I am given to learn certain shlokas and certain stories, it is the school culture that is being taught, and it's left to my parents whether to let me study there or not. Similarly, if the non-Muslims are given to teach some of the Muslim culture in the school, there's nothing wrong. We have learned the Hindu culture, we have learned the Christian culture in the convents. When we have opted to go and learn in the non-Muslim schools, we also imbibe certain amount of culture. You understand? So the same thing goes on to others. If somebody is coming to our schools, they have to, by default, absorb some element of our culture. That is going to happen. So their parents decide. So there's no issue. That cannot be amounting to radicalization. So why do we start Islamic schools? We want our children to know Islam. We want our children to pray 5 times a day, which is an obligation. We want our children to wear the